They keep pace, and the crowds get further and further choked out as more of her girls weave out of the background and form a protective ring around her and the men. Jen's Bar and Bargain is of course open and not too crowded. The purely aesthetic doors swing in as the real privacy is the booths, with the one straight opposite of the door filled almost to capacity and with the screens down to reveal a few familiar faces. A nearby trinity of tables are open for the men in protection. Perfect. Hey, Lilpaw? Good timing. We're only a couple... Is that a literal horde of men behind you? Captain Meg Screen greets her before trailing off in shock. The green-skinned and antenna-bearing B-103 always had a clear sphere helmet on and a plasma pistol at her side. She looked almost harmless with her slight frame and exposed arms and legs. But the tattoos of slightly paler green down her arms and thighs were infused with axiom, giving her a permanent force field, and coupled with the slight rebreather hooked into the helmet, meant she was ready and trained to jump out an airlock and cut her way into an enemy ship, her favored method of attacking which she ensured her entire crew could replicate. It was an amazing way of stealing cargo, as most ships automatically sealed off any areas open to vacuum by the time people suited up to try and stop her. And her crew, they already had either stolen most of the stuff and were going or had rigged up a trap to take them out. Of course, the woman's a Lutron. It could be Captain Screen, or it honestly could be any other Lutron alive impersonating her. The entire species is effectively identical to one another beyond personal dress and tattoos. But Screen's markings were standard issue on her ship, and at this distance there's no way to spot the few telltale scars. The appropriate thing to do was ignore it and treat whatever Lutron you're talking to as the one you want to talk to. It's not like they're so ignorant that they don't know that they're physically interchangeable. Beside her cruelty, a distant cousin to Mercy on her ship is openly gawking at them. She knows for a fact that Captain Cruelty was called by Mercy, who had also taken the time to boast. WMH 11100 Narn02, either faking it or broken and straight up dangerous. Mercy is a dangerous type, but she's not sure about Cruelty. The nickname suggests a faker, but Mercy seems so normal until she straight up charges moving air cars to tear people out of it, and that's her being affectionate. So which one went and fucked Mercy? Cruelty demands with a salacious smile that makes the rest of the table chuckle to themselves. This one, Victor says, before anyone can say anything else as he grabs the smaller man by the back of the shirt and holds him up. He catches an elbow in the side of the face for it, followed by a kick to the side. Oh, go on. She's practically family to you now. You little horn. We're all in glass houses, Vodka. I'd tell you to cool it if you weren't frostbitten. Brent interrupts and Victor snorts as they all pile in. We got the middle table there? He asks Agenda, who nods. Captain Agenda, the biter Lilpaw. Where the fuck did you get 10 Tret men? Captain Carry Score demands. The woman's basically a flying case of collateral, with her ship being a moving artillery piece that blows the fuck out of stations, and in the confusion of them trying to repair and prevent loss of life, they grab some nearby cargo haulers. A brutal but effective tactic. The woman's a Tret herself, and is no doubt stunned to see so many males of what looked to be her own kind in one place. A Tret? Beck asks in a confused tone as he sits down after shoving Lou out of the way. They're not Tret, but they're BMOs. Of that there is no doubt. Agenda almost purrs as she saunters up to the table with the other 4 captains and takes a seat. It's one of the smaller booths, but a good one. She presses a button and hardlight images and sound baffling rev up. It's an annoying tinny whine at the edge of her and Cruelty's hearing, but worth it. No, seriously, where the hell did you find 10 not Tret men, let alone ones that are completely comfortable in a pirate station and armed to the teeth? Willow Spoke demands, not technically a captain, but something this big on her station demands her attention, and Agenda made sure to invite her. Guile Archna Mike. 1 Tiaoan, 100 number 4. Absolute masters of their domain with an obsession for running things perfectly. Her being the master of a station is stereotypical to the point of absurdity. That's what I'm here to talk to you girls about. You see, there are more of them, but I've already gotten all I can out of it. At least in the way of men, I'm still making money and getting political favors. You've been bought, Screen says with a raised eyebrow. Last money bag not work out? Stupid bitch put me on a collision course with my current boss. First job was to grab the slag and throw her to them after stealing all her stuff for myself, of course. Of course, Willow notes daintily. Get to the point. You've implied we can get a deal like this ourselves, and from what Mercy has told me. Where and how? Cruelty demands. Let up on the thirst, Screechy. She's getting there, Screen says as Agenda narrows her eyes, the slight scar on the nose. This isn't Screen. It's one of her lieutenants. Damn Lutron, they even smelled alike. So Screen sent one of her girls to meet instead? I hope she's listening in and not just hoping for the best, Lilpaw states, and there's a moment's pause before the body double relaxes and puts a small device on the table. Well, to be honest, Agenda, the message was really sketchy sounding, even in our circles. The deal of a lifetime? Something we'll regret for the rest of our lives if we refuse? Good goddesses, girl. Were you trying to scare us off? I've actually lost money by betting it was a trap. The actual Screen says from the tiny camera in comm. Hey, you said that? We've got half the crew standing by Yvette. You're fine. Screen assures her Lackey and Lilpaw sighs. Don't take offense, Agenda, dear girl. Think of it as a sign of respect. We think you a credible threat. True enough, Willow says, reaching under the table and removing a shaped blasting charge as Cruelty adjusts her seating to set a pair of laser pistols on the table herself. Carrie pulls out a vicious hooked knife covered in enchanted runes and lays it down in front of her with a smile. So where do we get some tight Tret ass? Carrie asks, and Agenda chuckles. First off, they're not Tret, they're human. The new race that was found stuck deep in cruel space. Wait, weren't you part of that initial raid that was fought off? Something about massive amounts of kinetic and explosive rounds? Carrie asks with a frown. On top of a stupid amount of ablative plating, their ship, the Dauntless, is a flying fortress. Not well armed, but carrying enough troops to slaughter a world. That's what those 10 are. Troops off the Dauntless. You got a state sponsorship from the people in cruel space? Willow puts it together first. No way, Yvette exclaims in shock. Yes, I have. And they want more. More pirates in their freebooter fleet, more for their Earth Foreign Legion. Okay, so they're offering business, but... oh shit. They're selling men as payment. No, not selling. The men are the soldiers posted on my ship to assure obedience. Unless we go against the humans, then they're just part of the crew, but they're also there to try and stop us if we go rogue on them. They're just men, Lilpaw. I get if you think we can get a grab bag, but... Carrie begins before trailing off at Agenda's unimpressed look. What? Their race uses the men as warriors. Everyone there is a highly trained killing machine. They're carrying enough on them right now that they could probably take the station if they wanted to. No offense, Willow. They're not that good-looking, Lilpaw. I think I can take them, Willow says calmly with a slight titter into the back of her hand. The spiderish women of the Archna are all fairly haughty and overassured of themselves. The hell you can, Franklin calls from outside the booth, and Willow flinches in shock. Your hearing is that hypersensitive? Agenda barks out loud, glaring at the opaque barrier between her and the men. No, I just like randomly shouting things and they coincidentally sound like I'm responding to what other people are saying, Franklin barks back. There's a loud slapping sound followed by some quick and punchy words in a human language. Fuck you. Franklin, be a dear and tell whoever tried to slap the stupid out you that they have my thanks, Agenda says. Screw you! That's Miles's job, not yours. She responds primly before turning back to the others. Humans have a 100 per 100 gender ratio. I think it has something to do with evolving in cruel space. Those 10 men are highly trained soldiers, but that's not the important part. The important part is that I have the contact information for their ship, the Dauntless, and express orders to tell as many friends as I think are trustworthy that they can get a deal like mine, which is why we're here. Do you girls want guaranteed customers and nearly a literal ton of strong and eager men? Eager? Cruelty asks. An Agenda pulls out a basic bioscanner that she turns on herself and has it run a quick scan. It's over in a few moments and she hands the small device over. The eyebrows and massive ears of the fruit soner go up in shock. Congratulations. They're in season? Now? And you brought them on the station? She demands as the scanner is grabbed first by Willow, then is quickly stolen by Kari, then Yvette. Human quirk. They don't have seasons. It's either time or they're too young or old. But regardless, they're virile, fertile, and eager. They're also desperate to make friends at all levels of society, meaning us. So, do you ladies want some powerfully trained, incredibly eager, and extremely hardcore men romping around your ships or station respectively? She asks, and there's a pause where she chuckles. May as well ask someone in a hull breach if they want atmosphere, yes. Give me the info and I will race out to get me some man. Willow all but purrs and she lets out a giggle before there's a scream from outside. They drop the privacy screen and have their weapons pointed out at anything that could be threatening them. The men have their weapons pointed every which way with the exception of Marcus, who's torn out a woman's cybernetic limb and has paused in the act of bringing it down on her head. The large BMO 165 is as massively well-muscled as the rest of her race, but it apparently wasn't enough to stop her hugely reinforced and overpowered cyberarm from being ripped out and used as a club. Are we interrupting? Kari asks with an enormous smile on her face as Marcus makes eye contact and glances down at the gray-skinned and tusked woman below him. She's a third again as tall as he is, and is likely twice, if not 3 times, his body weight. But that just means that he's grabbing on by an ear as he stands on a chair to give him the space to really bring down the metal. Somewhat. Can we have like 30 seconds? It'll be funnier that way, Beck asks, and Carrie turns the privacy screen back on. There's a series of brutal impacts, the sound of something shattering and a scream of fury from the Horchka woman, followed by a prolonged tearing noise. Carrie turns the screen off and her smile stretches from ear to ear at the madness exposed. That was not 30 seconds, Jake protests as everyone pauses mid-duct taping of the belligerent woman. He and Victor are taping her up. Marcus, Lou, Sai, Ryu, and Brent are holding her still, while Beck is drawing profanity on her forehead and Franklin is pulling apart the remains of her cybernetic arm as Jean-Luc is holding a massive tray of drinks and snacks away from the chaos with an enormous smile. Fuck, I ain't even done one of you and I'm already in love. Kari cackles in glee at the sight of them. Her words break what spell there was keeping them from continuing, and they go back into a flurry of movement. The Horchka is quickly wrapped up in the silver tape to the point that everything below the nose is completely covered, while Franklin rips out the microcomputer and battery system out of the cybernetic arm. The men then carry her out to the entrance where Victor and Jake throw her clean through the door and onto the deck plating outside. All the men let out a laugh at the sight, and Jean-Luc lets the tray back down on the table. The drinks are quickly grabbed and thrown back with a gusto as they start to talk to one another in a human language that no one else understands. Those that make eye contact with the captains offer a little salute with their glasses, but otherwise act as if they own the bar. So what's the story with his pet cloaker there? Willow asks, gesturing to the several bands of duct tape floating in the air next to the table that show something unseen being restrained. She tried to jump him and is now something he's studying to figure out her invisibility. Agenda supplies. Oh, they got nerds? Nasty? Kira exclaims theatrically. Fuck you too. Franklin responds offhandedly as he feverishly writes his notes and otherwise ignores the world around him. What has him so interested? Willow asks, honestly curious herself. They're from cruel space stupid. Axiom is something new and strange to him. I'm surprised he's resisted the urge to skin the cloaker. Screen remarks, she's got a lot of sass when she's not present to take the heat for it. He's probably considered and dismissed it already, Agenda admits. I have. He remarks as he flips a page on his notebook and takes a swig of the nearest drink and gags. The fuck? This is the hardest they've got? He demands, looking into the large glass with a look of disdain as the table chuckles at him. So what do you girls say? You want in on the Earth Foreign Legion? Agenda asks to get to the point already. She can hear the crowds outside growing in volume and likely soon to try something stupid. I'm game, Carrie remarks, and there's a slight commotion as a Lutron rushes in and Yvette stands up. Captain, The body double begins before her captain freezes to stare at the men, paces around them slowly and squeezes into where her seat right next to Yvette. A slight scar at the base of the left antenna lets Agenda know this is the actual Captain Screen. You did good, Yvette, and yes, Captain Lilpaw. I'm in, Captain Screen says. Considering that there's no way I can get my cousin and her man meat transferred to my ship, I'll have to join in as well, Cruelty says, as she openly leers at the men as Ryu and Lu get into a competition as to who can empty a jug of the strongest alcohol in the bar the fastest. Is that going to kill them? They're borderline immune to ingested poisons, meaning watch yourself if they offer you anything. Also, they'll be bitching about how boring the food is and how weak the drinks are. Then they'll start breaking out chemical weapons to give the food some kick. Look that, she says as Brent dribbles some red substance onto a small bit of meat that he pops into his mouth. That was enough capsaicin to kill any one of us, and it's just a flavor for him. I've seen them light alcohol on fire and drink it. Well, it will be interesting to see what kind of exotic cuisine they'll be bringing to my station, Willow remarks to herself. Okay, so it's a clean sweep, Captain. Can we get off the leash now? We want to look around the station, Brent asks, and the entire table turns to them. Agenda looks towards Willow, who looks back. This is a pirate station. They're on a pirate crew, Agenda remarks. We're also liable to cause a straight-up riot. We'll go back to the ship if that's too much for your delicate constitution, ladies, but we are looking for entertainment. Brent continues, and there's a pause before Willow guffaws into the back of her hand. Go ahead, but my crews won't give you special goddess damn they're fast. Willow begins to answer, and the men are gone with a small bundle of credit discs on the table. Outside, there are a few calls of, "There they are," followed by some curses and an explosion. "I have to see this," she says, scuttling up backwards up the wall and into the hidden compartment on the ceiling. "Damn trapdoor spider aliens!" Captain Screen notes with a bit of aversion at the reminder that the entire station is a mass of tunnels and traps to give its master maximum mobility.